Hey, guys. This is Amber and
Kristin.
with Longbranch Talks. And today we have Mr. Travis Bright, psychic medium, with us, who just literally right before we did this, we came on, did a reading for Kristin right off the bat.
Yeah. And it couldn't have been more accurate.
Welcome, Travis, to the show. We're so excited to have you.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
You're very welcome. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I was born and raised in Campbellsville, Kentucky, not too far from here. And I'm a single dad. I have 3 kids, wonderful kids. I couldn't be more proud of my kids. Work full time and just trying to make a living.
Like everybody else. That's all
Exactly.
you can do. So you do have a very special gift.
Yeah, it's
a gift and a curse.
It is, honestly. It can be a gift and it can be a curse. I love sharing it with people. I don't do it for the wow factor. Sometimes you see people that just want to just go out there and try to impress. And my whole objective, when I accepted what I could do, I wanted it to be all about allowing others to have peace.
Yeah.
And whenever it first was realized, I was like, God, if this is meant to be, put people in my path that could benefit from having their peace that they haven't had. And if it's not from you, then get it away from me. Because I didn't want notoriety. I didn't want celebrity status or anything of that nature. It's just, to me, it's...
When did you first realize that you had this gift?
So growing up, I grew up Southern Baptist. So, drinking a beer with singing.
I grew up the same way.
Well, you can imagine, like, I still won't drink beer because I was afraid I was going to hell. So, as I was, getting older, I got away from, and someone had expressed it to me in this manner. And I love how they said, I got away from the spirit of religion, which, denominations, things like that. And as I grew in my faith, I really was just exploring why was God so restricted to me growing up?
Right.
Like, I was at a church where you did not raise your hands and you did not worship. You were told when to stand. You were told when to sit down. And God forbid you shout amen.
Mm-hmm.
And you better be done by 12 o'clock. Or if UK was playing, you had to be out by 11:45, which was so absurd to me. And like, we would go to church camps, the youth would, during the summer, and there was such a different experience of praise and worship going on, and that you actually started feeling this relationship with God, or like your higher power. You get back home, it's like, why is it this way?
Mm-hmm.
And as I got older, I was like, I want that. I want that relationship. And so I got away from religion, and I wanted to explore a relationship with God. Now, the God I was raised to believe in growing up is not the same God I have a relationship with.
Which was what I was going to bring up too, because I remember a conversation, and I can't remember exactly how it went, but I do remember, I think it was your grandmother who had you fearing. You feared God. And you said you finally realized it wasn't a God that you feared, but one that you loved and loved you back.
Well, I mean, it was, I think it was more my dad.
Okay.
Because, he's still, that's the way he was raised, and that's just the way it's going to be with him. That's what he's accepted to be okay. And I'm the rebel. I don't even think he knows I have tattoos. So, but yeah, I mean, there's this difference in, and having a love for God, and then having that fear. You still have that fear and that respect, but I think it's evolved to me where it's more both ways.
Right.
And I don't have a problem. Like, I feel fine just going out there and just saying screw you and Jesus loves you at the same time, because I think it's just who we are in nature.
Right.
I think God And I call him God. I mean, people, you can call him higher power, whatever you want to, but I think you have to finally allow yourself to accept what you believe. And until you do, you're just always going to be wandering around like a lost sheep.
Mm-hmm.
So once I allowed myself to accept what I believe, things just took off. And, you asked me when did I first believe it or realize what I could do. It was like I was 25, 26 years old. And looking back, I could tell you numerous times of things that have transpired that I knew this was fixing to happen, or I had sensed this, and it's just nothing. Like if I heard somebody passed away, I was like, oh, well, it wasn't a surprise. Or like I can remember sitting in church, and they have like an altar call at the end of a Baptist church, and I could have sat there and say that person's getting ready to stand up and go pray. And I remember sitting there one time like, well, what would have happened if the lady at the organ just quit praying and started praying? And I shit you not.
She got up and went.
There she goes. I'm like, did I make that happen? But it was just like, I could tell you, like, I could pick up the phone so many times, just notice, like, hey, and it wasn't even ringing. It was just,
But you knew it was getting ready to.
No way. It was wild, some of the stuff. And, I think going back in memories, like I could have realized it sooner. But I think everything's supposed to happen when it does.
Mm-hmm. Everything happens for a reason.
So when I did allow it, I explored with it, I guess you could say, for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Just make sure I wasn't going crazy.
Yeah.
Well, there is no way some of the stuff you had just said to me that you would have had a clue about, because a lot of people don't know that I miscarried at 16 weeks. And you brought up what I thought, and then brought up, my grandparent that's really sick, and that her and my grandfather didn't get along at all.
Mm-hmm.
So it was funny that you said some of those things, because it was like, okay, like even if I questioned you, there's no way
you can't question it
things.
Yeah.
No.
See, the first time that I went, I had a friend who had recommended Margie recommended Travis to me. And she was like, if there's anybody who is legit, go to this man and just tell me, call me as soon as it's over with and tell me. So my first one, I locked down everything, guys. I locked down my Facebook, any kind of anything that he could have looked up on me. I locked it down. And so went in, we started talking and everything. And he starts telling me about my niece. Like, I argued with him for the longest time because my niece at the time had not been in our lives for several years. She was never on my Facebook, any social medias ever at all. So, but he kept saying that my father was saying that there were 5 grandchildren. And I was like, no, you're wrong. This, whatever, no. And the more he talked, the more I realized, God, he's talking about my niece. So I called my sister and I was like, well, my reading was for you. It wasn't for me at all. And 2 weeks later, she called me and she was like, it all came true. Like everything that he said to you has come true. And she said, and I don't know whether to cry or scream or cuss. I don't know what to do right now. So, yeah, he's 100% legit.
Well, and the fact that I think you could tell kind of the shock factor on my face, because I was like, didn't know what to say to you. And you were like, I hope, is this okay? You didn't want to overstep with me either, but you were like, but I feel like you need to hear this, because you could tell that.
And that's something that you're big on. Like you tell people too, like I can't control what comes out and what comes to me. So
I have to just convey it, how it comes to me. And everything you just talked about, I have no idea what the hell you talking about, because I don't remember.
I remember
you.
I remember it plain as day.
I think it's because it comes through you from someone else. Yeah. And it's like one of those times where you have to shut those off to keep moving forward.
And there are some that I remember because, like it would impact me. Sometimes the readings aren't just for that person. Yeah, I think sometimes the spirit guides or just hold something down to me as well.
Keep you kind of grounded.
Yeah.
And
Like I did one a few weeks ago, and I told a lady like she was just trying to do everything herself, and it was what was conveyed to me was you need to learn how to quit. That you can't do everything on your own 2 feet. And it was like, what do you mean? Like, you hear about people staying on 1 foot, or they, just got no motivation, nothing to go on. And she's trying to do everything by standing on her own. I said, you have got to look to a higher power and either use it as a source to vent or a resource to allow you to go, and that kind of stuck with me. Little things will stick with me. And I make notes on my phone and I'll reflect back from time to time, like, oh, that was really profound.
yeah,
So,
those are words.
Well,
I
it
could
could probably be something that was meant for you as well.
yeah. And, there was times where, I'm just kind of going through some stress currently in my life right now. And I was like, you know what? I needed that.
Mm-hmm.
And after that was down in Gatlinburg when I did that reading. And afterwards, I actually drove to Alabama and had a few nights that I stayed with a friend of mine from middle school that we reconnected. And, he invited me down. He's like, just come down there and chill out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling y'all, I had the most peace I had in a while. And I was trying to do everything on my own.
Mm-hmm.
And when I let it
you
go,
got to slow down.
when I let it go, I'm like, that was for me as well.
Well, and when you described yourself, you said, I'm a single father.
Mm-hmm.
Like you do feel, I think you still feel like you did alone. But I think you kind of try to remember, hey, I've got help.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to read you.
No, you're fine.
Describe
You're
yourself. That when you describe yourself that way, it's like,
I'm very
that
proud
makes
of the fact I have 3 amazing kids. Like, if you know me, like before you know that I'm a psychic medium, you better know I'm a dad.
Mm.
That's my first and utmost priority. Their mother is involved in their life, but just
But your dad. Dads are important.
I'm there.
That's good.
And I got
So tell me, what's the strangest reading that you have ever given?
strangest.
Yeah.
He's like, which voice? Hang on.
Strange. I have to think about that one. That's because I don't remember many.
I mean, do you ever just I don't know, walk down the street and pass somebody and then just kind of stop them and say, hey, so.
No, I won't do that.
No.
No, and I know this may sound contradictory, but I think you knew meeting me that something may happen.
Oh, yeah,
But
I
now,
absolutely do.
if I were to just come in here and meet you, like this gentleman in the other room, he's doing something else. He's not necessarily involved with what I wouldn't approach him.
Okay.
Because I think to me, I still want to owe respect. Now, if there's something that is strong, like God, that's why I don't eat out anymore. Because like if you have a waitress,
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
like some places like that.
That will happen. That's whenever I was talking about like exploring early on in my career, whatever you want to call it. Out of town waitresses was always a target, I guess, because I would just try to see if I was crazy, and whenever they would be like, "Oh my God," yeah, and then okay, strangest readings. Let me just I don't know if this qualifies, but my ex-wife, whenever we were still married, she had surgery done at Hard Memorial, and we were there like 6 a.m. for pre-op and stuff, and I'm still early in the game, and this scrub nurse was in there, and I just started telling her stuff, and she was kind of freaked out, and nurses gossip.
Mm-hmm.
So then a little bit later on, when she was in surgery, someone came to me, and I thought they were there to give me an update on her surgery, but they're like, "Are you the guy that's the reading? Blah, blah, blah. Are you the psychic?" I'm like, "Yeah." "Well, could I ask you something?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." Well, then, here's another one coming to me. And then there was like 2 or 3 more people lined up. This is in the lobby at the surgical area of the Hard Memorial. This is probably like 10 years ago. So then, she's going to have to stay overnight. They ended up, so many people wanted to talk to me. And it was like, I'd only talked to them about 3 or 4 minutes time. They had like a little meeting conference room that was vacant that they asked me if it was okay to go sit in there. And people were lined up.
Just to come in and talk to you.
And then like throughout the night shift found out about it. And so it was kind of cool. Like you would have people from different areas of the hospital. And there's a nurse that was in there that was taking care of my wife. And she heard about it, and I just told her, I was like, her and her husband, I guess, had given up on having kids. Maybe speaking out of turn there, but it was like they're just not going to have a baby. And I brought it up. I said, you need to go to the lab. She was pregnant.
Oh, wow.
She was pregnant. Like then. She was shocked. I wasn't shocked. Her husband was shocked because like there was just like they had tried different methods of trying to get pregnant. And then I was like, I said, you're knocked up. You need to go down there. And it's like, yeah. So she ended up, I gave her permission to friend me on Facebook because God forbid to get involved with HIPAA, but we still stay in touch.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So that's what I enjoy the most is the relationships that I make along the way.
Yeah.
Like, you talk about things I told you. I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I just know you as Amber.
Right.
And that's what I like more than anything. But I think going back to the hospital, sitting in the waiting room, that was strange to me.
So here's a fun fact too. Travis will not come in over at our bar over at Longbranch. He came in one time, and tell us about that, Travis. What happened?
No, I'm going to panic attack right here. That was the most unwelcoming place I'd ever been. And I think sometimes when I allow myself to be in a high vibration or just in a high sensory overload, first of all, the bar is not really my scene.
Right.
Like I don't drink, I don't party or whatever, I don't dance. So, it's not really my scene, but I wanted to come see you because you had invited me out.
I did.
And I wanted to check it out and just kind of, I was newly divorced, I think.
Mm-hmm. You were.
And so, like, it's time to start doing.
Which is why I wanted you to come and hang out. Just come loose.
And I normally don't see stuff the way I did that night. Like, it's rare for me to see things in a similar setting. Like I can see you all and all the equipment around right now. But I'm telling you, like, I just went into another dimension. I don't know how to explain it, but I'm telling y'all, it was the most evil.
It's strong over there.
It made you sick, didn't it?
I was like, I darted out there.
He was gone.
I don't blame you.
Gone. And like, I thought I hurt her feelings, but I said, no, I'm not coming back over there. Sorry.
You didn't, because she has actually talked to me about it. And I think we're both like, it's so understandable because somebody that can read and, like spirits come to you, and there has been so many bad things in the past over there.
Yeah.
Whereas in the living or welcoming, there's people over there like that want their story told.
Mm-hmm.
There's a woman typically over there.
That balcony, right? That overlooks the floor.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. I'm getting chills right now thinking about it. But there's so much. And of course, I didn't know anything about this place. I mean, it's an old building. I mean, I love old buildings, but this one was like a battleground of. I mean, it almost felt like the Hatfield McCoys that happened in there.
And since it was a battle.
It was a battle. It was a battle behind us. Yeah.
Where?
The Civil War.
The Civil War happened right out behind us. One of the battles of the Civil War.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's probably
Well,
a lot.
we gotta move on because I'm getting.
Okay. So, what is the hardest reading then that you think you have ever done? Like something that you had to tell, I guess, but maybe it was just hard for you to do that.
Well, I don't have a problem saying what needs to be said. Like I've always just let it come out and just told them. Like there was times, I have picked up on times when people have been abused. things done to them against their will. So I'm trying to keep this.
PG.
Yeah. Leave PG-13.
Yeah, and it's like, why would that come up? And I think in a way, sometimes it's not, the reading is not always about connecting to those who have passed on. That's why I tell people when they come in, I'm going to talk to you about what is coming to me.
Right.
And then if we go into further, there may be things that you want to know about. And I will address it, or I will just tell you nothing's coming of that manner. Because it's important that you hear what needs to be said.
Right. Not necessarily what they want.
Yeah.
What.
And so, sometimes it's helped people understand, though it's hard to even say, how can you understand that this happened to me? But the events that took place and to get them where they are now. Like, this is what transpired. This is what happened. So sometimes, like the hardest readings are getting that validation from that person, because I'm shooting in the dark. I'm confident, but I still get nervous.
Right.
Because like the first question I asked you a while ago, I don't know if you could hear like the tremble in my voice.
I could tell that you cared, like your heart was in it.
Yeah.
But that you also didn't want to kind of step on me either,
Right.
because that was a heavy thing to say. And you lost a child.
Yeah.
Like, that's heavy.
Mm-hmm.
So you did, when you approached me, it was more like, I won't say toned back, but you could tell you cared.
Oh yeah. And even whenever in your situation, it was a child not necessarily known to you, but one that you did carry in your womb. The hardest readings are those who have lost a child of the living. And I remember I did a group reading, and this lady, sweetest woman, her son, about 6 years old, had went horseback riding that she gave permission to go. And he was excited about it. She couldn't tell him no. He fell off the horse, hit his head, or the horse kicked him. I can't remember well, but there was a head injury involved, and he ended up passing away. And she had carried this guilt for so long.
For allowing him to go. There
was so much peace that came throughout that session that she messaged me after. She said, I finally feel free. And that's where my heart is.
Yeah.
It's not about look what I can do. It's what can I do?
Well, that's what, I mean, you can tell you're genuine, and you don't want to be hurtful.
Or boastful.
Or boastful. No. But you also want to, like, your message to be heard, or their message to be heard. Because some of the stuff you said to me a while ago, I was just like, I know you've seen the shock on my face, because you're like, is this okay? And I was just like, because normally I'm not speaking. So
you're very quiet.
You had me very speechless, because I was just like, a lot of people know.
But I did kind of warn her, because I told her, I was like, if he picks up, he's just going to start talking. So
well, and I mean, me having a miscarriage, I've never been secretive about having miscarriages. I've had several, but for you to know at one point how long I had carried the baby, and that I always thought it was a little girl, and you were like, I'm picking up that it's a girl. And I was like, I always felt like it was a girl, and I knew what all of my kids were before I had them.
Really?
Yeah. So it was neat that you said that, and just to know you're a genuine person, because you can tell you're genuine, but that helps to be accepting of it. Now, if you were boastful, I'd have been like, screw you. Don't talk about this. This is none of your business.
Right. No.
But the fact that you could tell that you're just a genuine person.
I appreciate that.
Well, and that's something that we've been trying to kind of like quiet people, because there's a lot of people that are non-believers.
Right.
I know I question things, but I do believe. But like I said, what you said, there was no way that you could have known that, because I never filtered that through anybody but my husband. Okay. So you couldn't have known that. And so when you said that, and I was just like, whoa, but I think that's what helps is people seeing and knowing and being accepting because you're not doing it to whereas in some people with your gift may do it to just be like, haha, look at what I can do. You're genuinely doing it to help people through things. And you actually made my heart super happy.
Oh.
So I was like, okay, I'm listening. But then of course I was like, I can't talk. I'm speechless, but good job doing that, by the way. Anybody?
Okay. Tracy says, Travis, when you started, how did you sharpen your skills and build the confidence with your gift?
That's a great question. I really like
Good job,
that.
Tracy.
Um,
I'm still speechless from a while ago.
so, it sharpen is to me is like an evolving of trusting my instinct.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's important to know how this works for me in order to answer this question. Is I get these signs, these symbols, these pictures and images, and I'll just convey to you what they make me feel, what I see, and what I hear. So I always tell people it's like looking at a silent film and putting the subtitles to it myself. That's the only way I can explain it because it's more of a projection, and I don't hear, I don't see dead people. It's not like
I see dead people.
to me, it's more telling a story. So I know early on, a lot of the signs that would come to me, like if I saw an hourglass, then that means, the person that we're connected to, they knew that their time was coming to an end.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's trusting my interpretation. And so as time went on, I don't see those symbols as much anymore because I've learned to trust my instincts. So it's not being afraid, excuse me, sharpen and hone in, is trusting my initial gut because they have to convey to me what makes sense to me in a way.
Right.
And I'll just let it go, to you all. Early on, there was like roses would fall out of the sky. That's their way of saying, that they give you their love. We had mentioned feathers a while ago. That's what I just kept seeing was like, I was like walking along the sand, there's seagulls everywhere, and there's just feathers laying everywhere. So I just have to say, they're sending feathers to you.
It's funny because my 8-year-old collects feathers, and now every time I see feathers, I get them for her. And you were letting me know that was my grandfather telling me, "Hi, like slow down, stop, look around."
So it's just a matter of not being afraid to say what you feel, and that's where you build your confidence. You harping in and sharpen that. And know that you're going to be wrong because it's not, at the end of the day, anything I convey is not for me. And that was the hardest part to learn early on is to let go and just blur it out.
Now, you said that you did group readings. You've done group readings before.
I like that.
Is that hard for you to do? Because if you're in a group of people and you're getting all these things coming at you all at once, do you just start talking or do you point out a certain person?
Each situation is different. Sometimes like group readings will be done one-on-one still, like where they go to like a private room. But I did do one early on. There was about 8 to 10 people there. So in a sense, when I start talking to someone in particular, I will take them and project them in my mind into a blank space. And then I just concentrate and focus on that person. Just like I asked you about a child that had passed away in this group setting, it was interesting because I picked up this lady that she had a similar situation. And the most crazy part, later on in that night, I looked at this woman and I said, "Are you a twin?" And I was totally expected her to say no. And she's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "No shit." For real? Because like a lot of stuff that comes through it surprises me. Like it really, it freaks me out.
Yeah.
And so like, me and her, we still stay in touch. But yeah, I remember asking her if she was a twin. And just went through that, and just it's not like I was going a while ago saying I don't hear all these things coming at me. I just focus on that.
And like you asked me about a kid, And then you said something about the letter A. And now I know where the letter A comes in, but it wasn't a kid.
What is it?
My ex-husband passed away, and his name was Adam.
Which is close to Amber. I hear that AM.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So-
So there's mixed messages sometimes.
Yeah, that makes sense to what you're saying, is that you're
Why does he take responsibility for his passing? Because there's, to me, it's like, now don't mean suicide necessarily, but it means when they take responsibility, and this is the sign I just saw, okay?
Mhm.
That means ownership. Sometimes sign language, this is mine, is that okay?
You're
That's
fine.
fine.
Yes,
Yes,
you're
yeah,
fine.
okay.
So whenever they give me that sign, it means to me that they take responsibility for their passing, means their time, the place, their actions, choices, decisions led to why they passed, when and where they did. It does seem I'm getting a blink of an eye, and I feel like I almost want to turn around and second guess what I just did, and I don't get the opportunity to. Like, there's some regret.
Mhm.
Okay. You still have a hard time calling him your ex-husband.
Mhm.
Because did he leave you?
I left him, but he left me during our marriage. I was the one that filed.
Okay. But you,
He was my soulmate.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
what I'm getting is, but like when I say that, it's more like for you, it's like you're the one that didn't stop loving.
Mhm.
And that's what I'm saying. Like he says, he acknowledges the fact that you have a hard time calling him your ex. And then probably where you just mentioned that he's your soulmate.
yeah.
Yeah. So I feel very strongly that he acknowledges that he wants to. Did he father some of your children?
Yes.
He's thanking the man that stepped up to be dad. Okay. Did he know him?
Yeah.
If I could leave something in a will, like if I want to leave my most treasured valuables to someone to take care of for me when I pass on, he's like willing his kids to this man.
That makes sense.
Okay. So thank him. But know that he's better looking.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah. What's this hairy chest? Where's this coming?
He was hairy.
Yeah. He's like,
Is he proud of it then?
Yeah.
it's grizzly bear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
He still smiles that halfway smile that you always made him do when you walked in a room. He always had this half grin.
Yeah.
He's not sorry for leaving. He's sorry that he allowed himself to get to the condition that he did that caused his passing. He's not sorry that he passed because it gave him the ability to be the man you deserve, more so in spirit than it did in the final stages of the living. He calls himself a cancer. So I don't think it was a sign necessarily, but more or less, sometimes when you think of someone being a cancer, it's someone that drains the energy out of you sometimes.
Yeah.
And he says he acknowledges that was his kind of persona there at the end. He was just draining.
He had a drug overdose.
So that makes sense where he said that I'm sorry that I got to the shape that it is.
Because he had actually asked for help right before he passed away. So yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Keep fighting for him because he says no one in a million years would have labeled him as a drug user. And it's almost like there's vengeance that still needs to be made. Let go of the spitefulness of that and allow yourself to forgive yourself for not saving him. Because the help that he asked for wasn't from you. It was from God. It's what he needed help from. You did your job. You did your role. You still was mom. that's what you had to do. You can't be his protector. You couldn't be his savior. Because in a sense, I think when people are in that state of mind or they're in that substance abuse, it's like you take an outer body experience sometimes, and the actions and choices and decisions aren't that of your own. I feel like sometimes our spirit and our body, I think we all believe that there's a separation of the two when you pass. But have you ever stopped to wonder if that spirit of your own isn't the only one that wants in?
Mm.
And I feel like there's a spirit of depression. I've felt it myself. There's spirits of anger. There's spirits of, addiction. And in our human nature, I think we stop and we can only reflect. Like if Amber goes out here and slaps somebody, we're going to say, well, Amber did that. But if Amber goes out here and gets drunk, is that the spirit of drunkenness
Right.
that's consumed? We are always going to associate that as Amber. But if she wasn't the only spirit in control, what if that spirit of addiction was what was in control? And that's why I feel like the actual spirit of the person is the one that has the peace, and the spirit of the negative energy stays earthbound. I know we're totally getting a different subject here.
No,
no,
you're
you're
hitting
perfect.
so many nails on the head.
This is how it makes peace. This is how I have found, for me, if you get people that come in and they're like, well, my son was gay and I'm worried he went to hell. No. Don't let the spirit of religion tell you that. Or my cousin so-and-so, they overdosed. Okay. Or there was an alcoholic. Okay. Don't let the spirit of alcohol dictate that person. Who are they? Now, what if the spirit of that person left well before, and then the body, we still perceive that person as them. You may perceive your ex-husband as being the one that overdosed. It was the spirit of addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And because if you think about negative energy, their goal, or the devil, is to still kill and destroy. How many people were affected by his passing?
A lot of people.
Still kill and destroy. It's like a stray cat. You ever fed a cat outside?
Oh, yeah.
And what happens? They come back from
They
walk,
keep coming back.
right? You ever let that cat in your house? It's like spirit of addiction. Oh, I'm just going to smoke this joint. Or I'm just going to take this pill. It's like a stray cat. And pretty soon, you were cleaning up its shit.
Yeah.
I mean, you were scooping its litter box and the hair everywhere. They're on your countertops. They're on your bed. They're taking everything that you loved about your house has now become the sole focus of this cat. And that's like negative energy, in my opinion. And from what I've experienced, the best analogy to describe it is this negative energy comes in and it consumes you and all your focus. You belong to the cat. You belong to the spirit of addiction. And when you try to get free of it, you finally get rid of the cat, you still smell that litter box. You still see that hair everywhere.
Yeah.
There's things that are there to remind you. And so, and then where that spirit of negative energies earthbound, it can be very easily passed on to others who have been destroyed. So it's important that, that we stay grounded and that we don't try to stand on our own 2 feet by ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
and that we try to, look to our higher power, to God, for the resources that we need and the strength that we need, rather than allowing a stray cat to enter our house.
It makes sense.
Preach.
Okay. Tracy again. Travis, when you are out in public, can you feel when other people have gifts like yourself? And would you approach them and ask them?
If so, there's been occasions, like it's not necessarily in public, but like when people come to me, whenever I used to have an office in Campbellsville where I would meet with clients one-on-one, and I could sense that they had their own special gifts themselves, and I've helped people hone in on their own abilities. But if go back to what I said earlier, I'm not one to just walk up to people and.
So if somebody came in and did like book a reading with you or something, and you saw that they had, or you felt that they had a gift also, would you bring it to their attention?
Oh, yeah. If I feel that to, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because like when I go into the sessions, it's not about me.
Right.
I will convey everything that, what I see, what I hear, and, if I sense something of that nature, I will address it.
Well, and clearly, I'm sure people just seen how genuine you are with me as far as you don't mince your words, but you care. You're not out to hurt somebody. You're kind of, honestly, you gave me a little bit of closure just now with some things you had said, but you can just tell that you're just genuine when you speak, and it's not boastful.
But it did sound pretty good.
You sounded amazing.
But yeah, and I don't want to take away from what you just said, but I always tell people I'm not here to find closure for you. I'm not here to help you find closure, because in a sense, I'm very big on what do the words that we speak, what does that mean, and what power is behind it. So I would encourage you to allow yourself to have peace more than closure, because closure in a sense means forget. Like I close that door, I don't know what's on the other side of it.
That makes sense, because I wouldn't even think about it like that, because that was like me saying, your gift can be considered a gift and a curse, because sometimes it can just be so overwhelming, like going into the bar and just kind of that pressure of being in there and just the negativity and not feeling wanted, because we can't feel that. But as somebody that does read and can see and hear things that we can't, I think that that's where the like unwanted feeling maybe is with you. But I would think it would be interesting to sit with somebody else that had a gift and be like, haha, gotcha.
Do you have you done that before and kind of argued or back and forth with stuff?
So there was I want to say collaboration that we did one time, and I don't want to speak too much of it, but what we were able to sense, it was kind of like Captain Planet, with our powers combined. We were able to help police locate something.
That's awesome.
And it was so freaking wild. Like it.
And that's got to give you a sense of like accomplishment, or like proud to be a part of that, to be a part of something even bigger than you, even bigger than
I remember like following up afterwards, was this the surroundings, was this the environment? Because that's what I was sensing. And, I identified a tree and they're like, yeah.
So, I mean, you see stuff like that on TV sometimes, but then they go back to that person and they're like accusing that person. I mean, of course, on TV, we're talking about on TV, but I'm surely to God that did not happen.
No.
With that, they were very accepting, and
I don't even want to do that stuff anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I think in a way, try not to be boastful, but I think I had gotten into myself a little bit during that. I didn't want that. I didn't like the notoriety that came from that.
Right.
Because to me, it was about me more so than
what you were.
Yeah. So I think that really helped evolve me to how I conduct myself now. Is it Tracy again?
No, Tracy again. Roseanne Perkins. Do you read strangers when you're in the grocery store or out in public? Like, can you hear someone coming through if you're just walking past them?
No. There's times when stuff will, kind of be sensed, but not out for public show.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
You're there for your groceries.
I do online grocery now. But, if there was something, okay, so this may be something in relation to that. I took my mom and kids to Gatlinburg about 5 years ago, and there was this lady that was, she would work like breakfast and then do the night dinner, and she would stay at the hotel for like 3 days straight and just take care of all these shifts. And so, as I was there, I kind of got to just talking to her at breakfast, and then, I'd go down to at night and eat something, and I would talk to her. She was very friendly. And she's the one that actually went back and read a few weeks ago in Gatlinburg. Yeah, because she worked at the hotel. She's like, we did like a little small group reading, but I got a hotel room. I love trading. Like, I love bartering. Like, I got a hotel room out of that. So it was nice.
And who doesn't love Gatlinburg?
Yeah.
Right. And so I was packed. We had checked out of the hotel. The car was on. Everybody's bulking in. I said, I will be right back. Because something kept telling me, go back in there. And she was out back on the back patio smoking. And I just said, look, I know you don't know me from Adam, but I'm Travis. I'm actually a psychic medium, and I'm going to talk to you. And it's her story to tell, but I'm telling you, it was so
clear.
impactful that, she started following me on Facebook. And then we ended up, going back and getting back together, 5 years later, which just was a few weeks ago.
Well, and it's neat to watch you connect things, because when you connected A, you kept hearing Amber's name. And then as soon as I told you Mac's husband's name was Adam, you're like, that's where the AM came from. So it kind of shows like you don't know what you're saying. You're just going by the signs you're given.
Right.
So that's interesting to watch for me anyway.
You said that, like, with this lady, you all connected. She's followed you, became friends, and then you connected again. Is there anybody that has like stepped away from you because of this, like, or maybe you stepped away from because of this?
Like, not in my life anymore. I, we're in small town Campbellsville. There's a lot of Bible thumpers, is what I call them. I mean, there's been family that has ridiculed me, persecuted me, whatever you want to call it. There was an article that went on the front page of the newspaper when I first opened my office. And the reporter did not stick to the terms. I wanted to proof the article before it was published. And they totally side-railed me and put out their Bible Belt Medium now open. And it was a slap in the face to Christianity.
Right.
And I'm not about that.
Right.
I want to respect your beliefs, but I want that in return.
Right.
And I had death threats. One, he's like an extended member of the family. I guess you could say he's married to a second cousin. He is an asshole, just through and through. And he uses God as a fear, and he wants to like persecute you for everything. Like,
You used to see him as a weapon.
Oh yeah. And someone put a note on my door and it said, now entering the gates of hell. And I'm sitting there like, so I just went in, I took the little note and I taped it on the inside of the screen door and took a picture of it facing the outside. I said, you had it on the wrong side, and I sent it to him. So it was hard. It was hard, because people think, okay, if I'm associated with you, then you're the devil. I've had, aunts, uncles, my cousins. So it's just not something I talk about. And I hate like the stigmatism that comes with it.
That's what we're trying to get rid of.
Like, okay, if I go to a funeral, I missed a lot of funerals because I got so tired of people saying, are they sitting up talking to you?
Oh,
well, if they did, I wouldn't be here.
You're running out the door.
Yeah. And I had this one great aunt. She was could not stand her. So I actually went to the visitation, and my dad was like, well, I'm surprised you see you here. And so I had to make sure the bitch was dead. So that's just how I am.
But it's better to be blunt than.
God, she was so rude.
And Kristin's right. Like, that's why That's the whole reason we
Yeah.
we wanted to do this podcast, is to get rid of the stereotypes, the stereotypical
Mhm.
things that you hear or see or believe or, whatever. Bring a new light to what's out there and
Yeah.
what could be.
Yeah, so I think entertainment or movies, TVs have
Mhm.
really
They've
made
been
it.
a lot
I
of
mean,
that.
it could be like that for others. I am not an authority on this by no means. I'm just sharing what I experienced.
Right.
And
And everybody's gift may be different.
yeah,
Like you said, everybody's different. There's
Yeah.
no two people the same out there.
exactly. I mean,
You
that's
had
how it
another
is.
question.
But
Trish says, at what age did you discover that you had this ability, and how did you realize you had it?
so what I refer to is a very impactful moment in my life. I was probably 25, 26. My neighbor at the time, her son had passed away in Iraq. He was a soldier.
Hmm.
He was, killed in
Line of
action.
duty.
Yeah. And, I was still, married at the time, and my wife and I, we worked opposite shifts. And that's how we avoided daycare. And she was a single person, and uh, her son was my age, like maybe 3 months older than me. And, we just kind of adopted her as a mom in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And so we would sit out on her front porch every night, just shooting the shit. And sometimes she would just, talk about her son. And you want to be there, you're a friend, because you don't, at that time, it's like, you don't, what do you say? I mean, there's nothing you can say to a person that's grieving their child, especially. And I just remember one day we had talked earlier in that afternoon, and I was just sitting at the table, and I was like, there's just so much stuff I cannot get off my mind. Like, it just would not leave. It's kind of like what I was talking about a while ago when I was leaving the hotel. Like, someone just told me to
go
get up.
back.
Mm-hmm.
So I texted her, said, are you still at home? Like, I really need to talk to you. And I went over there and I told her, I said, please, no, I don't mean to, I'm not trying to insult or, shame anything here, because it's a very sensitive matter. But I can't get this off my mind. And I had so she wasn't too offended by it, because I had told her some other things that had happened. There was at my job one time, I told her I was sensing that I just had a sense that somebody was going to pass away and they was going to be buried by June 1st. Well, unexpectedly, the dog hen's brother dropped dead. And guess when his funeral was? January 1st. The following year, the owner's son died and buried on June 1st. So I'm like, oh my God. Anyway, I'd had experiences of like premonitions and freaking out and stuff like that. So she was kind of understanding of why I was wanting to talk to her. But the stuff I told her, she says, there's no way you would know that.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Now, at this point, have her son already passed?
yes, he had been passed for a few years.
Okay.
And I don't want to give away their identity, but there's another family member associated with this that came over later that night. Okay. And there was things I revealed to them that was not knowing to her,
Mm-hmm.
that they were able to validate. And they broke down there. It was like, Mom, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was a profound moment. And then like, started talking about other family members, like, and she would, just encourage me. She's like, you're not hurting my feelings. Just keep going. Just keep going. Well, I got done with that. And that was like the first big,
Reading.
like, oh yeah. And I remember feeling so bad afterwards. And that's what I was talking about earlier. Like, when I first realized, I was like, God, if this is meant to be, send them my way. But because she had so much peace that night. Like, she actually felt her son there with her. And if I could be a vessel to allow others to gain that peace, let's do it. But that was what I always reflect back to as the aha moment. But I was so scared.
All right. So currently, right now, you are not taking readings, correct?
I am sabbatical hiatus. I don't offer readings to be scheduled right now. Going back to the beginning, I'm a single dad, and I my baby's 16,
Mm-hmm.
and when I got divorced, I tried to juggle both, but my ultimate priority right now is to be a father, and I do have a full-time job, and that doesn't necessarily take away from me being able to do readings, but I only have one chance,
Right.
and I take a lot of pride and joy in being a father.
And you're a great father.
Well, I appreciate that.
You're a great father. But if you would like to follow Travis he is on Facebook under Physic Medium Travis Bright.
Right. I don't post much on there, but there would be opportunities.
Someday, yeah, someday when you feel it,
well,
you go on.
When you first asked me about this, like I remember I don't listen. Like I was on vacation. I was going to Alabama that day, and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to stay awake driving. And so I was like, I wonder what a podcast is. I don't even know what like is this. I hear about it, but it's like nothing I really do.
Right.
And so I remember like just downloading a podcast app and looking through stuff, and not even 20 minutes later, you text me about this podcast. I'm like, that's weird. And then she told me what the name of it was, and the next road I turned on, Longbranch.
Oh, geez.
So. What do you do?
It's meant for you to be
I
here.
guess so. And then
the
day you asked me to come here, I'm not off work on Fridays usually. But I had already scheduled a PTO day, because I had a doctor's appointment. And I was like,
might as well.
Yeah. And then
let's do it.
So, yeah.
Well, we're so glad you did.
Yeah. And it's weird how it all worked out because, I'm not like, it's a part of my life that I know is there, but I'm not trying to exploit it or try to put it out there. And then I don't know, it's almost like I feel like we were supposed to meet.
I kind of felt like that.
It was weird because but yeah, follow me, Physic Medium Travis Bright on Facebook. Don't be offended if I don't message you back. I do try to be a father more than I'm
Your personal life comes first.
Yeah,
and it should.
And that's what people need to be understanding as well, because even though I'm so grateful that you have spoke to me about things, like there is no way that I could have come to you as somebody knowing that you wanted your time and your personal space to be a dad first. So I think that's really important for people to understand, is that he does have a life outside of his gift. So be respectful. And we all have questions. I know I have a ton more questions now. You've opened up things for me that I'm just like, whoa.
We'll have to do a part 2.
You're not leaving. I don't care.
Yeah. So, but just be respectful, be mindful, because Travis does have a gift, and I believe that you share it when you feel it's necessary. And once you do open up to taking in appointments again, I think that a lot of people need to open up to coming and seeing Travis, because I myself now can honestly say some of the stuff you said you would have no idea about. So the fact that you just done that just completely blew my mind. So.
And as promised, we are going to do a live drawing for the birthday present giveaway, because it is our wonderful producer's birthday.
We're going to let Travis draw it?
We are going to let Travis draw it.
What are we going to win?
When are we going to win? It's a birthday bag.
A bag?
Yeah. A birthday present.
How about if this person is interested in a reading, that I will give them that as well.
That would be amazing.
That would be awesome.
So up to 30 minutes.
Okay, awesome. So
it'll be over the phone. It's a phone reading.
All right. So with our bag giveaway for the birthday, Travis is also going to give up to 30 minutes reading. Just we'll reach out to you, whoever you are, when he draws this out, and we'll get it set up with you. That's awesome. Thank you, Travis.
You want to do that? Okay.
Go ahead.
Let's do this.
I feel like you felt like you need to read to this person, and I think that's what you.
Oh gosh, let's see. Amy Gant.
Amy Gant. Amy Gant, you are the winner of our birthday bag giveaway and also a reading with Travis.
So just message Amber
And she'll
and
get you in touch.
we'll make sure to get Travis in touch with you.
Yes, this is awesome. Thank you so much,
Well,
Travis. We are running out of time.
Thank you all for tuning in, and thank you all for inviting me. This was
Absolutely.
a lot more fun than I anticipated.
Yes, it was lots of fun. I love it.
We'll do it again.
And sometimes.
Yeah, we'll have to do it
absolutely.
again.
We can do it again. Absolutely.
Yes, and thank you all so much for tuning in and adding us on our page, our TikTok, Amber and Kristin, Longbranch Talks on all of our other socials, our podcast, Spotify. We greatly appreciate you all. We did not anticipate growing as quickly as we have.
We're over 600, over 650
We're almost to
now.
700.
We're almost to 700 followers now, which is amazing with just the time that we've had. And we really appreciate you all. Keep sharing and following us and inviting your friends to share and follow. And also look up Travis on his Facebook
Yes,
and
we will
follow him.
And we will keep doing some giveaways sporadically too
Yes.
as well. So we do greatly appreciate everyone. And remember to drink responsibly, tip recklessly.
Tip recklessly. Drink responsibly and tip recklessly.
Neither one of us can speak today.
We're all tongue-tied.
Well, thank you all so much. We appreciate you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.